What if a vision could change everything you thought you knew about the future? One boy wakes up from a powerful experience, convinced he's seen a warning that could shape the fate of an entire country. But can he get people to believe him before it's too late? Stay with us as we dive into a story of hope, division, and choices that could change the course of history. Could you handle the truth? If you're enjoying this story and want to see more content like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow and keeps you updated with our latest videos. And if this message resonates with you, leave a like, drop a comment below, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Together, we can spread the word and keep these important conversations going. It was an unusually calm morning in a small, peaceful town in the heart of the USA. Excitement filled the air as everyone buzzed about the upcoming solar eclipse. News stations were alive with stories about this rare celestial event, highlighting its significance and hinting at the deeper meaning of change that it could bring. In the days leading up to the eclipse, every household seemed to be in a frenzy. People buying solar glasses, making picnic plans, and preparing to capture the moment on camera. It felt as if everyone knew this day was going to be special, but no one could have imagined just how much it would transform their lives. In a cozy little home on Maple Street, 5-year-old Lucas sat by the window, his big eyes filled with wonder as he gazed at the world outside. Lucas had always been a bit different from other kids, not in an obvious way, but in subtle, almost magical ways. He was curious beyond his years, asking questions that often made adults pause. More than that, he had a unique gift, an extraordinary sense of awareness that allowed him to see things others often missed. Sometimes he would ask his mom why the world felt heavy, or why people in the grocery store looked sad, even when they wore smiles on their faces. His parents adored him, but even they couldn't fully grasp the depth of his feelings. To them, he was just their sweet little boy, innocent, curious, and kind-hearted. Sarah, his mother, would often say, "Lucas feels things deeply. He's a special boy, you'll see," whenever his father John dismissed Lucas's comments as mere childlike imagination. But she understood. She had witnessed the way Lucas would sit in silence, observing the world around him, his tiny brow furrowed as if he sensed something bigger than himself looming in the air. However, within their loving home, a different kind of tension brewed. Lucas's parents, while caring and devoted, were politically divided, and the upcoming election intensified the quiet rift between them. Sarah believed wholeheartedly in compassion, community, and unity. She supported a candidate who spoke of healing, coming together, and leading with kindness. John, in contrast, was drawn to a figure of authority and strength, a candidate who promised power and protection in a world that often felt chaotic. At the dinner table, their discussions never escalated into arguments, but the tension was unmistakable. Their words were carefully chosen, and the differences in their opinions hung in the air like an unspoken barrier. Lucas would often look back and forth between his mother and father as they spoke, his small face absorbing the atmosphere, sensing the divide between them. He didn't fully understand the details, but he could feel the tension, like the air before a storm. As the eclipse drew closer, Lucas's behavior grew even more intriguing. He would sit by the window for hours, intently watching the sky. One evening, just days before the eclipse, Lucas turned to his mother and said, "Mommy, there are shadows in the sky." Sarah, wanting to ease any worry, smiled gently. "It's just the clouds, sweetheart," she reassured him. But Lucas shook his head. "No, not the clouds. Something's coming." His mother brushed off the comment, but Lucas's words lingered, heavy with meaning. Over the following days, he continued to speak of strange things. How he heard whispers when he closed his eyes, or how the air felt different as the sun began to set. Finally, the morning of the solar eclipse arrived. Families across the town gathered on porches, in parks, and on hilltops, solar glasses in hand, eagerly awaiting the moment. But for Lucas, this wasn't just any ordinary day. As he stood beside his parents, looking up at the sky, he felt it. A deep, pulsing sensation in his small chest that hinted at a significant change coming. The world was about to shift in ways no one could yet understand. With his tiny hand clasped in his mother's, Lucas whispered softly, "It's starting." As the solar eclipse began to unfold, an electric anticipation filled the small town. Families and friends gathered outside, eyes turned skyward, marveling at the transformation of daylight into a haunting twilight. Lucas, standing among them, felt a curious energy coursing through him. The sky darkened, and it was as if the approaching shadows spoke directly to his soul, hinting at secrets only he could understand. The air became eerily still, and a strange chill spread through the crowd, sending a shiver down many spines. When the eclipse reached its climax, everything shifted. Lucas, overwhelmed by an inexplicable force, suddenly collapsed onto the ground. Panic erupted around him. His parents screamed in terror, their faces drained of color. "Lucas!" Sarah shouted, rushing to his side, while John knelt beside them, heart pounding with fear. Gasps of shock rippled through the crowd as they realized something was terribly wrong. In that frantic moment, Lucas's body lay still, lifeless, yet his eyes remained slightly open, reflecting a depth of awareness that seemed to reach far beyond this physical world. It was as if he was suspended between two realms, his spirit on the brink of something vast and unknown. An intense pull enveloped him, drawing him into the dark, yet guiding him toward an inexplicable light. As Lucas's spirit began to separate from his physical form, he floated into a realm suspended between light and shadow. Here, reality faded into a dreamlike state, and he felt a profound sense of peace wash over him. Colors danced around him, soft blues and vibrant purples intertwined with shadows that whispered secrets he couldn't quite grasp. He felt weightless, yet anchored, as though guided by an unseen force. Time lost all meaning in this ethereal place. Questions flooded Lucas's mind. Was he alive? Was he dead? What awaited him in this strange, liminal space? But amid the uncertainty, he felt a strong sense of belonging, as if he was precisely where he was meant to be at that moment. As he floated in this otherworldly realm, powerful visions began to form in his mind. He saw glimpses of the future, the critical choices that lay ahead for his family, and the urgent need for unity in a world often divided. The eclipse had opened a door, revealing the importance of choosing wisely, not just for his loved ones, but for the nation as a whole. As Lucas floated in the surreal space between worlds, a warm light began to illuminate the darkness around him. From this radiant glow emerged an elder figure, bathed in a shimmering aura that seemed to pulse with wisdom and love. The figure smiled, and Lucas felt a sense of safety wash over him, as if all his fears were melting away. "Lucas," the figure said gently, calling him by name. "You are safe. I am here to guide you." Despite the comfort of the presence before him, Lucas felt a wave of confusion and fear. "I want to go back to my parents," he cried, his small voice trembling. The elder's expression softened, understanding the depth of Lucas's yearning. "I know you miss them, but first, there is something important you must see. The eclipse has revealed a turning point for your people." "What do you mean?" Lucas asked, still unsure. He glanced back toward the fading memories of his parents, their faces filled with worry and love, and his heart ached at the thought of leaving them behind. The guide knelt down, his eyes sparkling with kindness. "The choices made during elections shape the fate of your nation. You have a role in this story, Lucas. It is time for you to witness the impact of those choices, both good and bad." With a mixture of apprehension and curiosity, Lucas nodded, feeling a flicker of hope amidst his uncertainty. "What will I see?" "Come," the guide beckoned with a gentle gesture. "I will show you America's future. You will understand how love, compassion, and unity can create a brighter world, while division and fear can lead to darkness." As the guide spoke, Lucas felt the boundaries of his surroundings shift. Together, they began to move through a kaleidoscope of colors, emotions, and images, glimpsing moments from the past, present, and future of his country. Each scene illuminated the consequences of choices made by individuals and leaders, painting a vivid picture of the path ahead. Lucas's heart raced as he prepared for the journey, feeling the weight of the task before him. He sensed the importance of his experience, realizing that this was more than just a vision. It was a call to action, a reminder that the future was not set in stone, but could be shaped by the choices of the people he loved. As Lucas floated through the realms of light and shadow, he sensed a shift in the atmosphere. The bright hues that once surrounded him began to fade, giving way to a dark vision of the present-day United States. Suddenly, he found himself amidst chaos, where voices clamored in anger and frustration. People were divided, caught in the grip of intense political strife, their faces twisted with fear and resentment. Lucas stood frozen, disbelief washing over him as he observed the scene unfold. Crowds gathered, rallying behind charismatic leaders whose promises echoed through the air. These figures, filled with an unquenchable thirst for power, captivated their followers, who seemed to lose their ability to think for themselves. Friends turned against friends, families were torn apart by differing beliefs, and a palpable tension hung in the air, thick enough to cut with a knife. In certain areas, he could see violence beginning to erupt, escalating the chaos and turmoil surrounding them. Amidst this dark vision, the guide's voice broke through the cacophony, whispering words that resonated deeply within Lucas. "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Matthew 6:21. The guide explained the profound meaning behind this ancient wisdom, shedding light on how the nation's focus on material wealth and power was leading them further into darkness. The people, lost in their pursuits and blinded by greed, neglected the values of compassion, unity, and understanding that once held them together. Symbolic imagery filled Lucas's view, shrouding the landscape in shadows. Dark clouds loomed overhead, and the air crackled with tension. The citizens moved like specters, their eyes glazed over, unable to see clearly. Decisions were being made based on fear rather than wisdom or kindness, and it pained Lucas to witness this turmoil. As the chaotic scenes unfolded before him, a deep sense of unease settled in Lucas's heart. He turned to the guide, his small voice trembling. "Why is this happening? What does it mean?" The guide knelt beside him, his presence a comforting light amidst the chaos. "This is only the beginning, Lucas. The choices made today will ripple through time, shaping the future of your nation. But there is still hope. Awareness can lead to change." Lucas felt a flicker of understanding at the guide's words, yet confusion washed over him. He wanted to grasp the significance of what he was witnessing, but the weight of it all felt heavy on his young mind. It was as if he was holding a puzzle with pieces that didn't quite fit. The guide's reassurances echoed in his heart, hinting at a larger purpose for his journey, a mission to bring back what he learned to those he loved. As the vision continued to unfold, Lucas felt a deep connection to the world below him. He wanted to shout, to reach out to the people and guide them toward a brighter path. The tension between the citizens, their fears and frustrations, felt palpable. It was as if the energy of their emotions pulsed around him, calling for understanding, compassion, and unity. The guide placed a gentle hand on Lucas's shoulder, grounding him. "You are not just a witness, young one. You have the power to inspire change, to bring love and hope back to those who need it most. Remember, the strength of a nation lies in the hearts of its people." Lucas took a deep breath, feeling the weight of this responsibility settle in his heart. He wanted to be that beacon of light, a reminder of what truly mattered. The images of division and chaos weighed heavily on him, but within that heaviness lay the seed of hope. As the darkness of the vision began to fade, Lucas knew that this was only the beginning of his journey. There was more to see, more to understand, and more to learn. With the guide by his side, he felt a renewed sense of purpose, ready to embrace whatever revelations lay ahead. As the eclipse continued to wane, revealing glimmers of light, Lucas felt a wave of warmth wash over him. Standing beside the guide, he sensed that they were on the brink of a significant shift toward a brighter vision. In this moment, he was transported to a view of the near future where hope flickered, like a candle struggling against the wind. The light filtering through revealed a nation grappling with ongoing divisions, even as new opportunities for unity beckoned. The faces of the citizens were familiar, reflecting determination but also etched with disappointment. Once, they had rallied passionately behind the promise of change, believing they could forge a brighter tomorrow. But Lucas quickly recognized the harsh reality. The political figures who had pledged to deliver progress were only deepening the existing rifts, twisting the threads of hope into a web of disillusionment. The wealthy continued to thrive, while the struggles of the vulnerable became more pronounced, their voices fading into the background of society. An unsettling tension filled the atmosphere, and Lucas felt a knot tightening in his stomach as he observed the chaos unfolding around him. The guide, sensing the turmoil within Lucas, leaned closer and spoke softly, his voice steady and reassuring. "The choices made in the upcoming election will be pivotal, Lucas. The people will be drawn in by those who shout the loudest. But remember, true leadership arises from humility and empathy." These words struck Lucas like a lightning bolt, illuminating his understanding of the urgent need for reflection amid the cacophony of political discourse. He began to comprehend how fragile their future truly was, balancing precariously between further division and the possibility of reconciliation. Amidst the rising clamor of anger and fear, a flicker of hope ignited within him, the belief that change was still attainable. With a heart full of anxiety, Lucas turned to the guide, his voice trembling with urgency. "Can they still change?" he asked, worry etched on his youthful face, his innocence clashing with the gravity of the situation before him. The guide's response was enigmatic yet profound. "If they choose to see." The words hung in the air, thick with suspense as Lucas pondered the magnitude of their current trajectory. In that moment, he realized that awakening to the truth was the first step toward transformation. The people needed to open their eyes and embrace their potential to craft a better future. As the vision began to evolve, Lucas felt a renewed energy enveloping him. It was as if hope itself was swirling around them, igniting a fire in his soul. He understood that the upcoming election wasn't merely a political contest. It represented the collective heart and spirit of the nation. In the distance, Lucas saw silhouettes of people converging, their faces brightening with understanding and resolve. This image filled him with an overwhelming sense of joy and purpose. He envisioned a world where individuals set aside their differences to unite for a common goal, where laughter and dialogue replaced anger and division. The picture of a harmonious community crystallized in his mind, fueling his deep desire to be part of that change. The guide observed Lucas closely, a look of warmth and encouragement in his eyes. "Your heart is pure, Lucas. Never underestimate the influence of a single voice. You possess the ability to inspire those around you to embark on a path of unity." Each of the guide's words resonated deeply, stirring within Lucas a sense of courage he never knew he possessed. Though he was just a child, he recognized that even the softest voice could create ripples of change in the world. Suddenly, the vision shifted again, and Lucas felt an electrifying energy pulse through the air. The essence of hope intensified, igniting a fire within him. He envisioned the impending election as an opportunity for people to come together, not just for policies or candidates, but to embrace their shared humanity. Yet, just as the vision reached its peak, uncertainty crept in. Would the people rise to this occasion? Would they be willing to view the world through the lens of compassion instead of division? These questions hung heavily in the air, a mix of hope and apprehension swirling within Lucas. Lucas caught between exhilaration and trepidation about the journey that lay ahead. He understood that the path to transformation would be challenging, but deep within him blazed the desire to help nurture a future defined by understanding and unity. As the last rays of light flickered around him, illuminating the way forward, Lucas stood ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, his heart determined to guide others toward a brighter tomorrow. As Lucas stands surrounded by shimmering light in the spiritual realm, a profound sense of anticipation fills the air. The guide beside him radiating warmth and wisdom, gestures for him to look deeper. In an instant, the vibrant landscape transforms into a somber vision of the United States today. Lucas's heart sinks as he takes in the sight of a nation deeply divided. The stark realities unfold before his eyes, revealing families torn apart by bitter political beliefs. He watches as relatives, once united by love, now avoid one another, fearful of conflict over differing opinions. Friends who once shared laughter and dreams stand at opposite ends of an invisible chasm, hesitant to reach across for fear of igniting arguments. The tension in the air is thick, almost suffocating, and Lucas's chest tightens as he witnesses his own parents in this vision. Their faces are strained, etched with frustration. His mother stands steadfastly advocating for understanding and compassion, while his father is engulfed in the fervor of divisive politics. The familiar sight of their heated arguments resonates painfully in Lucas's memory. He recalls those sleepless nights spent in his room, listening to their voices rise in anger. The warmth of their love feels overshadowed by their relentless disagreements, leaving him feeling like a lost soul caught in a tempest. As the guide watches Lucas grapple with these intense emotions, he imparts a crucial truth. A house divided cannot stand. The words of Mark 3:25 echo in Lucas's mind, their meaning sinking deep into his consciousness. This is not merely a saying, it is a powerful truth that underlines the very fabric of society. With clarity, Lucas begins to comprehend that the most significant threat to the nation isn't external forces or foreign adversaries, but rather the internal fragmentation that pits neighbor against neighbor, friend against friend. The darkness he witnesses is rooted in misunderstanding, fear and pride, elements that breed division and conflict, leading to a breakdown of trust and unity among the populace. Lucas's heart races as he watches the sorrowful scenes unfold. Protests erupt into chaos, discussions devolve into shouting matches, and entire communities fracture under the weight of intolerance. He sees heartbreaking images of families breaking apart at dinner tables, where political pamphlets replace the warmth of shared meals. The guide stands beside him, patiently allowing Lucas to absorb the gravity of this unfolding narrative. "You must understand, Lucas," he continues. "The divisions you see are not just harmful, they are destructive. The absence of love and understanding is what creates the rifts you witness." With each moment, Lucas feels the weight of this revelation. He realizes that the internal struggles among the people reflect a much larger narrative of a nation at war with itself. He feels an urgency rising within him, a call to action. The importance of the upcoming election becomes increasingly clear. This event is not merely a political formality. It is a decisive moment that could shape the very soul of the country. The choices made during this pivotal time will send ripples through the fabric of society, determining the kind of world Lucas and his generation will inherit. "What can we do?" Lucas asks, his voice trembling as the enormity of the situation washes over him. The guide, sensing the depth of Lucas's despair, leans closer, offering a glimmer of hope. "You must believe in the power of unity and compassion," he replies softly. "Change begins with awareness, with the courage to bridge divides rather than widen them." Lucas nods, his resolve hardening as he begins to understand his role, not just as an observer in this spiritual journey, but as a beacon of hope and understanding. He knows he carries a crucial message back to his parents and the world. He envisions himself speaking to friends, urging them to listen, to understand different perspectives, rather than dismissing them outright. As the vision begins to fade, Lucas is left with an overwhelming sense of purpose. The images of division and anger transform into visions of people reaching across chasms, shaking hands, and sharing meals filled with laughter. He envisions a future where love triumphs over fear, where understanding prevails, and where communities unite despite their differences. Yet, a lingering question tugs at his heart. But what if they refuse to listen? Doubt creeps into his voice. The guide meets his gaze with unwavering kindness. "Change begins with one person, Lucas. Even if your parents don't agree, your kindness can ripple outwards. Remember, each act of compassion builds bridges where walls once stood." With these profound words echoing in his heart, Lucas feels a renewed sense of strength and determination. The images of division begin to recede, replaced by glimpses of hope, where people choose to reach out rather than retreat into isolation. He envisions neighborhoods coming together, individuals sharing their stories, and friendships blossoming in unexpected places. As it draws to a close, Lucas feels empowered, the burden he carries now transformed into a mission. He understands that the journey ahead will be filled with challenges, but the guide's wisdom assures him that change is always within reach if people choose to embrace love over division. With a deep breath, he prepares to face the next vision, ready to discover what lies ahead in this extraordinary journey. As the eclipse transitions into its brightest phase, Lucas finds himself enveloped in a vision that radiates hope and promise. He stands in awe, witnessing a transformed nation, a potential future where leaders who embody the principles of unity, compassion, and equality are at the helm. This is a world filled with peace and prosperity, where communities thrive and relationships flourish. Laughter rings out in the streets, and the air is alive with a vibrant sense of connection among people. Beside him, the spiritual guide exudes a warm presence, gesturing toward the harmonious scenes unfolding before them. "This is the future you can create," the guide states, his voice rich with encouragement. Lucas feels a deep stirring in his heart, recognizing that this vision represents not just a distant dream, but a tangible reality that could soon be within reach. Yet, the guide gently reminds him, this is merely one possible outcome. The choices made today will shape the path ahead. With each passing moment, Lucas becomes increasingly enchanted by the beauty of this hopeful future. The guide, sensing Lucas's growing optimism, recites a profound biblical verse from the Beatitudes. "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." Matthew 5:9. The words resonate deeply within Lucas, igniting a sense of purpose that fuels his spirit. He envisions a world where individuals actively strive for peace, understanding, and reconciliation, embracing their shared humanity in a manner that honors and uplifts one another. However, just as Lucas begins to feel a swell of optimism, the guide shifts the vision dramatically, unveiling a stark contrast, a much darker potential future that looms ominously in the shadows. Lucas watches in horror as scenes of conflict and division emerge before him. The once thriving communities now lie fractured, giving way to an atmosphere steeped in fear and suspicion. Relationships that once flourished are now strained, and the hope that once permeated the air dissipates into a chilling sense of despair. Lucas's heart races as he realizes the magnitude of what is at stake. The guide's expression turns grave as he emphasizes the importance of the choices that lie ahead. These are the consequences of ignoring compassion, the guide warns, a sense of urgency piercing through his tone. The weight of this revelation settles heavily on Lucas's shoulders as he understands that the decisions made in the present will determine whether the nation experiences the hope of unity or the despair of division. The suspense tightens around him, making him acutely aware of the fragility of the future. In this moment of realization, Lucas feels a deep sense of responsibility wash over him. "What can I do?" he asks, his voice trembling with determination and urgency. The guide responds with a reassuring smile. "Your voice matters. Speak for unity and compassion. Encourage others to recognize the light within themselves." As the visions begin to fade, Lucas's heart swells with a mix of resolve and trepidation. He understands that the message he carries is not just for himself, but for everyone around him who possesses the power to influence change. With renewed determination, Lucas prepares to return to his world, committed to sharing the wisdom he has gained and inspiring those around him to choose the path of light. This segment serves as a poignant reminder of the power of choice and the duality of hope and despair. The contrast between the bright and dark visions highlights the significance of individual and collective decisions, reinforcing the idea that compassion and unity must prevail to create a better future. Lucas's journey through these visions not only deepens his understanding but also positions him as a catalyst for change in the world he returns to. As he reflects on the guide's words, Lucas begins to grasp that even the smallest acts of kindness can create ripples of hope. He envisions starting conversations in his community, fostering dialogues that encourage understanding and bridge gaps between differing beliefs. The guide's reminder echoes in his mind: speak for unity and compassion. He resolves to engage with his family and friends, to open discussions that challenge divisive narratives, and to advocate for the values that promote togetherness. This vision of hope, however, is not just a call to action. It's a deep-rooted belief in the resilience of humanity. Lucas understands that while the path may be fraught with challenges, the potential for change exists in every heart. The beauty of this vision ignites a passion within him, motivating him to be a beacon of light in a world that often seems shrouded in darkness. As the eclipse begins to wane, Lucas's resolve solidifies. He is determined to step into his role as a leader in his own right, influencing others through love and compassion. This journey has not only opened his eyes to the possibilities, but has also empowered him to believe in the potential for a brighter future. As the scene fades, Lucas carries with him a sense of urgency and hope, prepared to take the lessons learned from this vision and apply them in his everyday life. The story of his journey is one of transformation, a reminder that even in the face of darkness, the light of hope can shine through when individuals choose to act with kindness, empathy, and understanding. As the final remnants of hope dissipate into the ether, Lucas finds himself enveloped in a dimly lit space where the atmosphere is thick with anticipation and an unshakable urgency. The guide, appearing before him once more, has shed the earlier warmth, replaced now by a serious demeanor that demands Lucas's full attention. "Lucas," the guide begins, his voice steady yet infused with an unmistakable gravity, "I must share a critical message regarding the upcoming election." Lucas instinctively leans in closer, sensing the heavy importance of what is to follow. The guide continues, "The choices made in this moment will echo through generations. Just as the eclipse conceals the sun, shrouding the truth in darkness. Remember this, the light will always return. It is essential for the people to choose wisely." The guide's words resonate within Lucas, igniting a profound concern that reverberates in his heart. He envisions the potential outcomes hinging on the upcoming election, grasping the immense significance of this singular moment. "The nation stands at the edge of a precipice," the guide asserts, his tone intensifying with urgency. "The next election will determine whether the light will return to illuminate your path or if darkness will envelop the land for years to come." As he contemplates the implications of this crucial moment, vivid images of division and despair from his previous visions flood back into his consciousness. Lucas realizes that the stakes have risen far higher than he initially understood. A sense of urgency and responsibility wells up inside him. He knows that the future of his country and its people now rests precariously on the choices that will soon be made. The guide pauses, allowing the weight of his message to settle in the air like a palpable force. "The path chosen by the people will sculpt their reality. They must recognize that every vote counts, and every voice matters. The light they yearn to see in their world is contingent upon their collective choices. Lucas's heart races as determination and fear intermingle within him. He comprehends the gravity of this election, not just for himself, but for every individual and family across the nation. "What can I do to help?" he implores, his voice tinged with desperation. The guide observes him thoughtfully, a gentle yet knowing smile gracing his features. "This is where your journey becomes intertwined with the lives of others. You possess the power to inspire and lead by example. Share your vision, engage your community, and encourage everyone to actively participate in shaping their future. It is through unity and understanding that the light can ultimately prevail." Just as a flicker of hope begins to ignite within him, the guide adds a caveat. "But bear in mind, the ultimate choice is not solely in my hands or even yours. It rests within the collective heart of the people." As the vision reaches its climactic moment, Lucas is confronted with a question of monumental importance that hangs heavily in the air. "Can I change it?" he asks, searching the guide's eyes for reassurance, his voice laced with hope and uncertainty. The guide's smile widens, yet his response is cryptic and thought-provoking. "What you do with this vision will determine what comes next," he replies, his tone both encouraging and enigmatic. With that, the vivid scene surrounding Lucas begins to dissolve, and he feels a gentle tug drawing him back toward the reality he knows. When Lucas returns to his world, a newfound sense of purpose courses through him. He resolves to channel the power of his voice and to share the wisdom he has gleaned from this transformative experience. He understands that every conversation, every interaction holds the potential to spark change and inspire others. The urgency of the guide's warning reverberates in his thoughts, but so too does the flicker of hope ignited by his vision of a brighter future. Lucas realizes that while the outcome may remain uncertain, he can actively contribute to guiding the nation toward the light. This segment serves as a powerful reminder of the profound impact that choices made in the present can have on the future. Lucas's journey embodies the responsibility each individual carries in shaping not only their own destiny, but also the collective fate of their community. The critical message from the guide underscores that while darkness may loom, the light is always within reach for those willing to strive for unity and understanding. As Lucas prepares to take action, he recognizes that this mission transcends his own desires. It encompasses everyone who will be influenced by the outcomes of the choices made in the upcoming election. With a heart brimming with resolve, he steps forward into his world, ready to become a catalyst for change, embodying the hope and unity that his nation so desperately craves. In the days that follow, Lucas immerses himself in community engagement. He starts by organizing local forums to discuss the significance of the election and to create a safe space for dialogue among individuals with varying perspectives. He understands that fostering an atmosphere of understanding and compassion is essential for healing the divisions that have taken root in his community. Lucas also reaches out to friends, family, and neighbors, urging them to reflect on their values and the impact their choices will have on future generations. With every conversation, he feels a sense of empowerment grow within him, a belief that collective action can indeed make a difference. He shares the guide's insights, emphasizing the importance of unity and the power of the people's voices. As the election draws closer, Lucas witnesses a shift in his community. Conversations, once filled with anger and resentment, begin to transform into discussions of hope and possibility. People start to recognize the significance of their role in shaping their future, and a sense of camaraderie begins to blossom. In this pivotal moment, Lucas's heart swells with pride. He realizes that change starts with one person willing to take a stand, to ignite a fire within others. He has become a beacon of light, reminding those around him of the power they hold in their hands. The guide's words resonate in his mind as Lucas presses on, determined to ensure that the light will indeed return. He understands that the choices made in the upcoming election will define not only the future of his community, but the very essence of the nation. With a heart full of hope and a resolve to act, Lucas embraces his role in this vital journey, knowing that the future is not predetermined, but rather shaped by the choices they make together. In an instant, Lucas jolts awake, his body thrumming with the remnants of his surreal experience. His heart races, pounding against his chest as if trying to break free. He gasps for air, drawing in the soft morning light that spills into his room. The world around him feels strangely vivid, and for a moment he's unsure whether he's back in reality or still lost in the depths of that mystical vision. But one thing is certain. He's home, and he carries a message that can't be ignored. His parents, alerted by his sudden wakefulness, rush into the room, their faces a mix of joy and confusion. "Lucas, you're awake!" his mother exclaims, her voice trembling with relief. Tears of happiness shimmer in her eyes as she embraces him. His father's broad smile mirrors her emotion as he wraps his arms around his son, squeezing him tightly. "We were so scared, buddy. We thought we might lose you," he murmurs, his voice thick with worry. Yet even in the warmth of their love, a sense of urgency courses through Lucas. "Mom, Dad, I have to tell you what I saw!" he bursts out, the words tumbling from his lips, fueled by an uncontainable need to share the truth he has witnessed. Confusion flickers across their faces as they exchange glances, uncertain of how to respond. "Sweetheart, it's probably just a dream," his mother reassures gently. But Lucas shakes his head vehemently, determination setting his features. "No, it was real. I saw a vision about our country's future," he insists, his voice brimming with fervor. He begins to recount the vibrant scenes he experienced during the eclipse, the brilliant light of hope he saw, the urgent warnings about the upcoming election, and the critical choices facing America. He speaks of the guide who appeared to him, imparting wisdom that felt larger than life itself. As Lucas shares his story, he can see skepticism settling over his parents. His father raises an eyebrow, his political convictions evident in his tone. "Lucas, it sounds like you had an intense dream. We all want a better future, but it's not just a wish," Lucas interjects, frustration bubbling just beneath the surface. "This is a warning. We can't afford to ignore it. People need to understand what's at stake." His parents exchange another worried glance, caught between their love for their son and their doubts about what he's saying. "Son, we appreciate your passion," his mother says cautiously. "But you know how divided things are right now. People are entrenched in their beliefs." Lucas can feel the weight of desperation pressing against his chest. "Exactly. That's why we have to start talking. I saw what could happen if we don't make the right choices. This isn't just about politics. It's about our future, our lives." As he pours his heart out, he begins to break through their skepticism. He can see a flicker of understanding dawning in their eyes, like a light cutting through the fog of doubt. "You really believe this, don't you?" his father finally says, a note of seriousness creeping into his voice. "Yes," Lucas exclaims, his voice steady now, filled with conviction. "We have to take this seriously. I know I'm just a kid, but we can't let fear or division dictate our future. I want to make sure people hear this message." Encouraged by his son's passion, Lucas suggests they talk to their friends and neighbors, igniting a conversation about the upcoming election and the choices that lie ahead. With every word, he feels the energy in the room shift, as if his conviction is contagious. In the days that follow, Lucas's vision begins to spread like wildfire throughout the town. His parents share his message with their friends, and it doesn't take long for the word to circulate. Conversations that once felt stagnant and divided start to shift. Neighbors begin gathering in living rooms and community centers, discussing the implications of the election with newfound awareness. Lucas watches in awe as this transformation unfolds. The words he shared with his parents ripple through the community, sparking a wave of discussions filled with hope and potential. People begin to question what truly matters to them, reflecting on the vision Lucas shared. The atmosphere changes. Conversations shift from blind loyalty to thoughtful consideration of the future they want to create. It's an awakening. The spirit of togetherness blossoms as neighbors who once avoided each other are now engaging in meaningful discussions. Lucas sees signs of change everywhere. Halls that were once empty now buzz with excitement and anticipation. His heart swells with pride, knowing that he played a part in awakening the community's sense of responsibility. Lucas becomes a source of inspiration, sharing his insights and urging everyone to see beyond their differences. His message resonates with those around him. The choices made today will shape the future for generations to come. It's a profound responsibility, and he feels it deeply. The vision he received during the eclipse echoes in his mind, reminding him that the choices made in the present will echo through generations. He knows they must choose wisely, and he's committed to guiding them toward a brighter future. As Lucas walks through the town, he witnesses the transformation firsthand. Friends and neighbors, who once clung tightly to their opposing views, now share stories and experiences, realizing that they all want the same thing: a community where unity and compassion reign. They talk about the qualities they seek in their leaders expressing a desire for integrity, empathy, and a commitment to equality. With each passing day, Lucas feels a sense of exhilaration. He understands that his vision was not just a fleeting glimpse of what could be. It was a call to action. It was an invitation to engage, to lead, and to inspire others to envision a future filled with light. This journey is just beginning, and Lucas is ready to embrace the challenges that lie ahead. He firmly believes that together, they can overcome division and build a community rooted in understanding and compassion. As he stands at the forefront of this movement, he knows he is not alone. He is surrounded by individuals eager to join him in illuminating a path toward a brighter tomorrow. And as the town buzzes with the energy of newfound hope, Lucas stands tall, heart full of purpose. He knows the road ahead will be challenging, but with every conversation, every connection forged, they're taking steps toward a brighter future, together. As the days turned into weeks, Lucas's vision began to spread, igniting a transformation not just within his family, but throughout the entire community. Conversations sparked by his message evolved into a movement. People awakened to the profound importance of their choices, and an invigorating atmosphere filled with purpose enveloped the town. Each discussion, each connection, became a cornerstone for building a future that radiated unity and compassion. Lucas found himself at the heart of this exciting change. No longer just a boy with a vision, he emerged as a young leader of sorts. He attended community meetings where residents gathered to discuss not only the upcoming election, but also the core values they wished to uphold as a society. With each passing day, he grew more articulate and confident, sharing insights about the responsibility of leadership and the necessity for compassion in their choices. At one particularly impactful meeting, a diverse group of townspeople filled the local town hall. They came from all walks of life, young and old, rich and poor, but the air was thick with a shared determination. Lucas stood at the front, his heart racing with both nervousness and excitement, ready to convey his thoughts. "Thank you all for being here," he began, his voice steady despite the butterflies in his stomach. "I believe that our choices in this upcoming election will shape our community for years to come. It's not just about the candidates, it's about what they represent. Do we choose division, or do we choose unity? Do we pick leaders who spread fear, or do we stand with those who inspire hope?" As he spoke, Lucas could see the engagement in the faces around him. Nods of agreement rippled through the crowd, and murmurs of support followed each point he made. He quoted the guide from his vision, reminding everyone, "The eclipse is a symbol. It hides the truth in darkness, but light will always return. We must choose wisely." His words struck a chord, igniting a spark of reflection among the townspeople. They began discussing their own beliefs, but more importantly, they explored how they could come together to ensure their choices aligned with their shared values. It was a powerful moment, one where hope began to take root. In the weeks that followed, Lucas witnessed his community coming together in unexpected ways. Neighbors who had once barely acknowledged each other began collaborating on projects aimed at fostering inclusivity and understanding. They held forums to educate themselves about the candidates, discussing policies and values in light of the vision Lucas had shared. As the election approached, Lucas saw a remarkable shift in the town's dynamics. The divide that once felt insurmountable started to crumble, replaced by conversations that emphasized shared humanity rather than differences. Families who had avoided discussing politics at the dinner table began openly engaging, sharing thoughts and feelings and challenging each other to think critically. However, not everyone was on board with this transformation. Lucas faced pushback from those who preferred the status quo, individuals entrenched in their beliefs, unwilling to consider a new way of thinking. They viewed his message as naive, and their skepticism sometimes made Lucas doubt himself. Yet he remembered the guide's words, "What you do with this vision will determine what comes next." Fueled by this reminder, Lucas channeled his energy into his mission. He reached out to those who were hesitant, inviting them into the conversation. "I want to understand your perspective," he would say, genuinely listening to their concerns and fears. By fostering an environment of openness, he created spaces where dialogue could thrive, allowing people to express their anxieties without fear of judgment. As the election day drew near, Lucas and his supporters organized a town hall event aimed at fostering understanding and encouraging informed voting. They invited all candidates to share their visions, promoting respectful debate and discourse. The event attracted a large crowd, with citizens eager to learn more about their options. That night, as Lucas watched the candidates speak, he felt a swell of pride. The energy in the room was electric, filled with a sense of purpose and hope. Each candidate discussed their plans, but more importantly, they engaged with the audience, acknowledging the significance of unity and compassion. The crowd responded enthusiastically, demonstrating that they were ready for change. After the event, Lucas stood outside with his friends, basking in the afterglow of their hard work. "I can't believe how many people showed up," one of his friends exclaimed, excitement lighting up her face. "I think we really made an impact tonight." Lucas nodded, his heart soaring with optimism. "This is just the beginning," he said, determination bubbling in his voice. "If we keep this momentum going, we can change the course of our future." And change they did. As election day arrived, the town buzzed with excitement and anticipation. Voters turned out in droves, motivated by the conversations sparked by Lucas's vision. The energy was palpable as people stepped into the polling booths, their choices guided not only by party loyalty, but by a deep sense of responsibility for their community. When the results finally came in, the atmosphere was electric. Lucas stood with his family and friends, gathering in the town square as they awaited the announcement. The air was thick with anticipation, and every face reflected a mixture of hope and anxiety. As the results were revealed, cheers erupted, echoing through the streets. The candidates who championed unity and compassion won. It was a resounding victory that sent waves of joy through the community. People embraced one another, tears of happiness mingling with shouts of celebration. Lucas's heart swelled with pride as he watched his neighbors come together, reveling in their shared achievement. In that moment, Lucas realized the true power of his vision. It wasn't merely a dream, it had become a catalyst for change. His journey had transformed not just himself, but an entire community, awakening a sense of responsibility and compassion that would echo through generations. The light of hope he had witnessed during the eclipse had now become a reality, a tangible force driving them forward. As the celebrations continued, Lucas stood quietly at the edge of the crowd, reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this point. He understood that challenges would still lie ahead, but he also knew they would face them together, united in purpose and hope. With each step forward, they would remember the lessons learned through their shared struggle, fostering a community that prioritized understanding and compassion. Lucas felt a sense of peace wash over him. He had grown from a boy with a vision into a young leader who understood the profound importance of unity. He knew that while the eclipse might have hidden the truth momentarily, it had also illuminated the path to a brighter future. As the stars twinkled overhead, he took a deep breath, ready for whatever lay ahead. The light had returned, and so had hope, a hope that would continue to shine brightly in their hearts and guide them forward. Lucas was confident that together, they could create a legacy of compassion, understanding, and love that would endure for generations to come. Thanks for watching. We hope this video gave you something to think about. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest content. Feel free to like, comment, and share this video with others who might enjoy it. See you in the next one.